Imagine driving 2,500 miles in 3 days and doing it all over again. First off, I don't want to confuse anyone here and just clarify that we're talking about the Volkswagen R32, not the Nissan. And the R32 Golf is a rare breed. I own number 4,201 out of 5,000 made in Tornado Red. Yeah, clearly I have a thing for red cars, but that little rumble it makes when the engine starts is enough to get you excited to take her anywhere. R32 enthusiasts know the Wookiee sound all too well. V6 3.2-liter engine is a little heavy but quick. That hatchback makes it inconspicuously roomy in the back seat for a sub 5'5" person to sleep in. And I know because I did it several times on this trip from LA to New York and back. Yeah, a 5,000-mile road trip is crazy, but the R32 made it possible. Although not without a few hiccups. The R32 was Volkswagen's answer to enthusiasts who wanted something refined yet with grunt. Under the hood, the narrow-angle 45-degree VR6 5-valve engine makes around 240 horsepower, paired with VW's Haldex all-wheel drive system, and it grips just like a vice in the corners. This one's not about power, it's about the way it delivers it. The exhaust note has this deep mechanical growl that builds into a metallic snarl the higher you climb in the revs. You feel it through the floorboard, through the steering wheel, in your chest. It's heavy, planted, and stubborn. Like it dares you to push it harder. Those bucket seats, the aluminum pedals, the blue light gauges make the cabin feel like a cockpit that's built for long miles and quick decisions. This was a car that was designed to be elegant and sporty. Truly a master of disguise. Yeah, the Volkswagen R32 is what happens when the sensible Germans at VW have one too many energy drinks and decide to give the Golf a personality disorder. It's a hatchback that thinks it's a supercar. Yes, it's heavy. Yes, it drinks gasoline like it's free. But the R32 isn't about being sensible. It's about feeling alive. And in a world full of beige economy boxes, that makes it gloriously, stupidly brilliant. Welcome to the Throttle Culture Podcast, a space where design, history, and emotion meet horsepower. We celebrate the stories behind the builds and the people who see more than just a car. They see a connection. This week's story is about yet another VW who has lived up to their legacy of being cool to drive until it wasn't. This is a story about buying the wrong radiator, causing you to overheat in the middle of the desert somewhere between Utah and Nevada while it's 110 degrees out and you have to turn the heater on to avoid burning the engine down and... No, just kidding. This is about the clan of the other 4,999 owners of the special edition Golf and how this one in particular managed to unite two estranged siblings on a cross-country adventure during a global pandemic. Got a lot of ups and downs and curves and detours while jamming to a stellar playlist made by two music junkies who, even through all their differences, find unity in their song choices. So let's get into it. It started with a mental health crisis. I mean, we were all experiencing one, remember? But my little brother had a harder time coping. I received a call and I booked a flight. Already masked up from head to toe, but I was living in New York at the time, so this was an everyday fashion. These were uncertain times, and we all thought we had limited time left, so there was no wasting it, is what I kept telling myself. LA is my hometown where my family still lives while I've created a life here on the East Coast. Now, fun fact, my siblings and I grew up on Herbie movies, the classics, not the Lindsay Lohan reboots. So we all went and got matching 53 tattoos during this time. Now, Marina Del Rey was a lot emptier than I was used to, but we all really needed that time to recoup by the beach, and honestly, it felt so good. We realized we needed to stick together during this time while we figured out life. So I said, screw it, Josh, let's drive back to New York together. I think a little road trip would heal us right now. He owned an R32 at the time, number 1,250 in pearl white. And so we had my dad, the mechanic, check all our fluids, give it a quick inspection, and give us his blessing, but not without scolding my brother first for buying a Golf radiator that doesn't fit on this R32. He said it was going to cause problems down the road, but of course we didn't listen. Our only goal was to get to New York as quickly as possible. Not cannonball style, but just drive enough until neither of us could drive anymore. And so we made our way. We started out on the 210 in Pasadena, that smooth stretch of asphalt framed by palm trees and smog-filtered sunlight. And this was the kind of morning that made Southern California feel cinematic. From there was the endless lanes of concrete and chaos on the 5. Then we get into the 14, which is slicing through the Antelope Valley until we hit the 138 Pearl Blossom Highway. Now that's a long, lonely ribbon of road that looks like it was pulled straight out of a desert car commercial. It rolls past faded gas stations, Joshua trees, and ghost towns that once used to matter to someone. That stretch beyond Palmdale where the landscape begins to flatten and the wind picks up that dry, dusty tone that whispers, You're leaving civilization behind. I used to make this run to Vegas all the time in my early 20s, back when fuel was cheaper, sleep was an option, and every drive felt like an adventure. Now, I knew it'd take about 4 hours if you had a heavy right foot, although GPS would insist on 6, but where's the fun in that? Past Vegas, though, that was uncharted territory for me. Nothing but empty highways and uncertain plans ahead. This is the kind of drive that makes the world feel big again. But with the country on pause, all the roads were eerily silent, and we were the only ones left moving. Just us, the R32, and the hum of the tires rolling through America. Now, if you haven't driven through Colorado in the spring, do yourself a favor and do it. Right now. Well, just not in the winter unless you enjoy sliding off hills. But it's like driving through a Bob Ross painting, only better. Because this one moves and breathes with you. Everywhere you look are brushstrokes of green, gold, and deep violet, an optical illusion of purple mountains that rise from the red rock and lush valleys, like something out of a dream. And you don't even need any of the local herbal enhancements because the landscape does all the tripping for you. With every mile, the air felt cleaner, the world felt brighter. It was as if the road itself was leading us back to health, back to some sense of normalcy which we were desperately needing. And the R32 hummed happily, carving through mountain passes with the same steady confidence it had on the coast. That view, the impossibly vast, serene peaks, was all the medicine we needed at the time. And then came Utah. It was a sudden shift from vivid green to a planet painted entirely in sand and stone. The landscape opened up, endless and alien, with massive rock formations standing like ancient monuments under a sky so blue it felt eternal. Everything was a different shade of brown. Mountains, dust, even the horizon itself, all blending together in one surreal panorama. Somewhere along the route, we probably skimmed the edge of the Grand Canyon. Not that we stopped and checked, but we told ourselves we'd visit next time, although I'm sure the Grand Canyon isn't going anywhere. That stretch of road felt infinite, just the car, the desert wind, and the realization that sometimes the journey itself is the destination, as cliche as that sounds. And the R32 kept rocking with us, playing our favorite jams while comfortably seating us in those dope bucket seats that give this little fat hatchback that race car feeling. My favorite part, the paddle shifters, aka Tiptronic. Tiptronic is an automatic transmission that was developed by Porsche in the late 1980s, and it was first introduced in the Porsche 911 Carrera 4 in 1989. Volkswagen, recognizing the appeal of combining the convenience of an automatic with the engagement of a manual, began offering Tiptronic in several of its vehicles throughout the 1990s, including the Passat, the Golf, and eventually the R32. The system allowed drivers to shift gears manually via the gear lever while still retaining the ease of an automatic transmission. During the late 1980s and 1990s, there was a growing demand for vehicles that could bridge the gap between performance driving and everyday convenience. Traditional manual transmissions offered control and engagement, but were challenging for urban traffic and less experienced drivers. Automatic transmissions were easier to operate, but often disconnected the driver from the car's performance potential. Tiptronic addressed both. It offered a simple automatic when desired and a manual-like driving experience when wanted, giving enthusiasts a taste of control without the full commitment of a clutch pedal. Today, Tiptronic-style transmissions are extremely common. Most manufacturers offer a similar system under different names. Porsche still calls it Tiptronic, BMW calls theirs Steptronic, Audi and Volkswagen also use the same term for some models, while other brands might use Sport Shift or DSG, Direct Shift Gearbox, or even Paddle Shift. Despite different names, though, the underlying technology is always the same. It's an automatic transmission that allows manual gear selection. And what are the benefits? Well, control. Drivers can hold gears longer, downshift for engine braking, or upshift manual to manage power delivery. Convenience. In city traffic, the car can operate fully automatically, reducing fatigue. And efficiency. Modern Tiptronic systems can actually improve fuel economy by upshifting optimally when used manually. That's personally how I use it. And it offers safety and stability. Downshifting manual can help with engine braking on descents, reducing brake wear. In short, Tiptronic created a bridge between convenience and driver involvement. A concept so successful, it's now standard in almost all vehicles in some form. So anyways, here are these two crazy car kids, brother and sister, bound by our affinity for things that go vroom since we were babies, or maybe even in the womb. Yeah, because mom is a car girl too. And we're recalling the Das Auto commercials while we're driving through these vast empty roads, sharing thoughts on life, death, and everything else. This was therapy in its purest form, confronting our thoughts while numbing the pain with our addiction for music and driving. Car therapy is real, and when you can't afford the real thing, this is what you get. Getting lost in the beauty and not realizing at what speed you're going until it's too late and a cop pulls you over and asks why you're driving so fast and you respond, because race car? This is a true story, by the way. You can ask my little brother. But anyways, we're listening to some of our favorite indie bands like Bad Sons, London Grammar, as well as some of our mainstream favorites from all genres, except country. From hip hop to 80s rock, banda, mariachi, Americana folk, corridos, electronica. This is an eclectic playlist carefully crafted by two Mexican kids who grew up in the world's largest melting pot. Now we're getting halfway to our final destination, and now the mountains have turned into flatlands with rolling green hills and an entire day of driving through fields of just cows. Yeah, cows. So many cows. Big, beautiful cows. And when you pull the back seats down and get in through the hatchback, the R32 is quite spacious. Open the sunroof and you can stargaze while sleeping comfortably in the middle of nowhere. Well, maybe not comfortably. I mean, one of us had to sleep in the front seat, so we were taking turns using the back to rest and stretch our legs. I mean, I said this was an adventure, not a vacation, right? 1,000-something miles in just 2 days with no issues. And the R32 is giving it all it's got. If cars had feelings, I'm sure this one would be enjoying the road trip just as much as we were. We're not making pit stops to local tourist spots, obviously, but we're stopping in the middle of nowhere to take in the panoramas and selfies, just the three of us, R32, Josh, and I. Pennsylvania is a sign that we're getting close, but still far enough to be an entire day of driving through the state, which is beautiful on its own. This trip offered us a true appreciation of the country our parents immigrated to provide us with a better life in. Despite everything else going on, gratitude started to kick in, but so did exhaustion. After 3 long days, we finally made it. New York was waiting for us with more emptiness and uncertainty, but at least we made it. By the time we reached Westchester, the sun was setting behind a stretch of gray clouds, the kind of late afternoon light that turns your car's paint into a mirror. The R32's exhaust gave it one last burble as I downshifted into the final turn, smooth, deliberate, and like the end of a long film reel. The car was coated in a layer of desert dust and bug splatter, and battle scars from the last 3 days of non-stop motion. The brakes ticked softly as they were cooling down, and there was a faint smell of hot rubber that just was lingering in the air. We sit there parked in silence. It's just the hum of the cooling fans, the sound of metal settling after 2,500 miles of abuse. But in that moment, it wasn't even about emotion. It was about the machine. The way it never complained, never skipped a beat, how it carved through mountains and flatlines like it had something to prove. That pearly white still gleaming under the streetlight, idling steady like it wanted to keep going. This wasn't the end of the road trip, just the end of this chapter. The R32 had done what it needed to do, which was move. Relentlessly, confidently, unapologetically. A small hatchback with the heart of something far bigger. And remember that radiator I mentioned earlier? Yeah, well, let's just say my dad was right. And always listen to your mechanics, people. It made its ugly debut on the trip back to LA several weeks later, but that's for another story. All right, that's the end of part 1 of this R32 story, but don't worry, it's just getting started. The chaos we endured on the way back to LA is something worth laughing at, but we'll get into that another day. Thanks for tuning into the Throttle Culture Podcast. Until next time, stay curious, weird, and most importantly, stay driven.